is up, RotoGrinders? 8-game slate tonight in the association. Both FanDuel and DK running out the same slate. News dropping as we go on air as well. This is the start of 2 nonstop hours of NBA DFS conversation. Happy Friday, everybody out there. Myself, Dean, the 7904, if you want to get all technical, joined by one of the best players in longest reigns. 10, 12, 13, 14, who's even counting at this point? 2-time millionaire winner. It's Head Chopper. Chop, welcome to Friday. What's going on, dude?
Not a lot, Dean. Friday, 2 days after Christmas. Still got the Christmas hangover stuff, So just ready to grind out this slate here and see how it pops out. A lot of stuff going on. We got NFL. We got a 3-game NFL tomorrow, college football all the next week and a half, and some NBA too. So it's a lot of action going on.
I just did the Pick Six show earlier today. We touched on the Saturday slate. It's kind of it's basically like a Thanksgiving slate, right? The way it's laid out and the way the games are starting as well. And then we talked about all these games on Wednesday and on Saturday and on Monday. We have just 8 games in the DK slate, the main slate, 9 on FanDuel. And, before we get to next week's information slate. But, yeah, man, football is going to be a little bit goofy for the next couple of weeks, but we're all playing with the same pieces. And you mentioned, the NBA, we, there was some days off, and now they got to play catch up, which is why we have, 8 games, 16 teams. Amongst the 16 teams, I think 11 are either on the front end or a back end. So we're going to get, players ruled out. We got the Brooklyn stuff we'll talk about. Front end of a back-to-back tonight is Dallas. By the way, Luka's out for like a month or so. It's kind of a bummer for them. Dallas, Denver, Golden State. We'll talk about them too. New York, Phoenix, all on the front of a back-to-back. And the back end of a back-to-back stuff is Brooklyn, your Rockets, the Pacers, Memphis, New Orleans, and Orlando. So most teams on this slate are not on an island game. Most teams are playing either the front end or the back end. We got the Brooklyn news just kind of throughout the day, but now we officially got Cam Johnson also out in addition to Ben Simmons, and we'll see about DFS. But, yeah, they're going to be pretty thin tonight. Steph Curry, of course, not playing basketball this evening as well. Draymond not playing basketball this evening in Los Angeles. So I know Golden State runs their 10, 11 man sometime, but it's going to get squeezed a little bit, and some potential value there. We will talk about all that. Chop, it's also a Film Friday. You love a Film Friday.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. There you
go. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm on a pretty good streak here. Let's see if I can keep it up.
You've been crushing this, and I was scrambling, and I'm not sure. I feel like I did a bad job as far as the order of putting in the clues, but we'll see. Hopefully, yesterday somebody got my clue in 2, which tilts me. I don't want anybody getting it in 2. I don't want to make it impossible, but it was a shout out. I think it was Mr. Richard actually in chat, if I'm not mistaken. That was, of course, a Fleet Thursday, but this is a Film Friday. You guys know how this works. You get in the Discord channel, tell me what movie I'm talking about. You get 1 guess per clue drop. You guess correctly, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. You got to do it in the live stream chat channel in the Discord. If you're guessing in YouTube, it doesn't count. It's not official. And I guess we can just go ahead and drop the first clue for the people. Why not? Sure. The first clue, Chopper, is magnificent. Magnificent is the first clue. Tell me what movie we're talking about. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. And like I said, if you guys are playing the football slate this weekend, not right now, obviously. We're focused on basketball. But later on this evening, tomorrow, playing Saturday or playing Sunday, check out the Pick Six show, myself, Rebar, and Daigle. All right, Chop. We'll get some guesses. Magnificent. As always, Chop, you can guess in our secret chat. And you've taken down the entire chat multiple times. It's very impressive. You're good at this game. So no pressure, but let's see if you can keep that momentum going forward. Jimmy Butler out at least 2 more games for conditioning. Come on, man.
What's up with that? Why is he not? We're like 60 games into the season, 50 games. Why is he not conditioned?
I don't know, man. The whole thing is weird because Riley came out and said, "Hey, we're not trading this dude." And the thought was that maybe he's sitting down because they're going to trade him, and I don't know what's going on, man. But the thing is, he's not really tradable. He's like, you're not going to. What are you going to get? A terrible Bradley Beal contract back? Is that you're going to get a terrible DeMar DeRozan contract back?
Well, he's almost 40, ain't he?
Jimmy? No, I think
Yeah.
he's 30. He's either 34 or 36. He might be. He's 30. Oh, he's 35, right in the middle.
Okay.
September, he turned 35. He's got like 50 or 60 next year, players option. But that's the thing is, and I think also my understanding is, what do they call the new thing they have now with the different drapes? I can't remember exactly. It's not drapes, but it's something like that. It's tougher now for players to get traded, I guess. Steve is saying the Knicks will give him Jacob Toppin, not even Obi. Jacob Toppin, straight up. I don't think it would work as far as salary stuff. It's just harder to trade stars these days, I think. That's my understanding. And he's just not that great. So my guess is by him, he's like, look, we're not getting any offers. We might as well just shut this nonsense down and say we're not trading him. And they still can. Of course, they still can, but they probably won't. Thank you. Curtain. That's the word I was looking for. Lord King Guru. Yeah, the curtain, the second curtain. I don't know all the dynamics of that, but my understanding is that makes it a little bit trickier to execute big trades. Supposedly the Rockets were one of the teams that but the Rockets are like, we don't know. We have good young players and we don't want to get rid of them for Butler. That's my understanding, is that was one of the targets for Miami, and just you guys are not interested. Rightfully so, I think. You have some pretty good pieces there in Houston, but and I don't know, you guys just won Jimmy Butler away? I don't think so, right? You're good.
Not yet.
You're on the come up.
By the time the Rockets' young core is really ready to be good, Jimmy Butler will probably be, probably a little bit out of his, you know what I mean? I want to try to be respectful to Jimmy Buckets, but, it's at 35 years old. That could be any season, your next season could be your big drop off at that age. We just don't know. And so, yeah, I get it. But, Dean, I'll throw this one out there for you, Dean. The Kings today did let go of Mike Brown, so there's a thought process that maybe De'Aaron Fox is next.
Yeah,
that could be a target the Rockets go after.
Yes, I think that's the one that's out there. That's probably the big trade that's going to happen. And I don't know if they can move DeRozan. They'd probably be happy to move DeRozan, but yeah, the Sacramento thing. Who would have guessed that the DeRozan signing was going to backfire? Signing a 35-year-old player on the back end who, shoots 18 footers. It's like a specialty in the year 2024. Not that he's not an okay player, but it didn't make any sense at the time. And I still don't get it, but he just doesn't really fit today's game. So yeah, they got rid of Brown. I don't know if it's necessarily his fault. It's just, and the teams, they also overachieved. He's also getting punished for overachieving previous years. Right. So that's just how that goes, I suppose. All right. Anything else we should say as far as the slate, big picture wise? I'm waiting for an update on Lineup HQ with the absence of Johnson. I'm curious how much Brooklyn now we're going to see hitting. We did get an update. Let's give it a refresh. One of my least favorite teams, Chop, is Brooklyn from just a DFS perspective. From any perspective, it's just a boring team. They're not interesting. If you're going to be bad, at least be interesting. And they're not very interesting either. Yeah, Shake Milton. Shake Milton's going to be popular. Possibly some Claxton. Maybe I guess we have Tyrese Martin join us. It's a cheapie. It's a possible cheapie. But it feels like it's kind of starting to turn into like a stars and scrubs kind of night. With the Golden State stuff as well. Schroeder, Kuminga, Pods, maybe trying to make that stuff happen. TJD. It's going to be tricky to predict how that rotation goes, but theoretically, somebody for Golden State should get there. A really, really cheap Zach Edey also looks spectacular on the back end of a back-to-back. Also playing blowout. He played blowout stuff yesterday. I don't know if that's going to continue going forward. We've seen that a couple times where he plays blowout run, the rare starting and also blowout run, and also being good. You don't really see that too often. Anything we should mention, Chop, before we fully dive in and do the old game-by-game deal?
Nah, let's just get to it.
Okay. Very first game of the night, it's New York. New York's taking on Orlando. Orlando is on the back half of a back-to-back. They lost to my Heat yesterday on a buzzer beater from Tyler Hero. I think did either team score 90? I don't know if they got the 90. It was a low-scoring game, as you'd expect. Gary Harris is available for Orlando for what it's worth. Not a lot, but it's worth something, I suppose. and all the Wagners. Anybody named Wagner is out for Orlando. New York is super clean. The only player that's out is the player that's been out all season long. It's Mitchell Robinson, not playing basketball tonight. Not the greatest environment here, Chop. 213.5 kind of speaks to it. We know how the pace of Orlando. New York, of course, you get those a ton of minutes. We've seen Bataze play a ton of minutes of late, and Carter kind of sort of somewhat basically relegated, just a backup of late. He got bumped down. Jalen Suggs, we know his usage is outrageous when the Wagners and Ben Carroll, they're off the court. But again, not the best matchup here. How do we feel about New York and O-Town?
Yeah. So we got 8 games, and I don't want to have to bore you with trying to go through all the players that I don't like, So I'll just say this game does not appeal to me, even if this was dead in the middle of the slate, much less being the first game and the only game at 6 or 7 o'clock, whatever. The first game, and then the next one, the next wave of games don't follow for 30 more minutes. Like, you always like to fade this kind of a game. And this really, really merits a good fade. Like, yes, could Karl Anthony Towns go for 70? Of course. I get all that, I'm not trying to steer you away if you really like him. I don't like anybody in this game. The one guy that I'm probably getting the most of right now, but I'll adjust it and I won't play this guy, is Tristan da Silva. He's been better lately. He's cheap, but I can find better options, I think. So I'm really not interested in anybody in this game.
You read my mind, Chop. That's basically where I'm at as well. Who knows what sort of news is going to drop later on in the night. Again, I mentioned before, a lot of teams are either on the front end or the back end. Don Yeezy's mentioning Queen in the chats. I'm not going to say you can't play him, but I think for the most part, I'm probably not going to play. I don't play a lot of lineups. I'm probably not playing anybody in this game. Ownership-wise, I mean, Suggs is now 8K. He's really worked his way up there, and he's earned it, but that's a pretty hefty tag. We got it projected for about 40 DK, so it's fine. It's a fine play. If you want to just plug in Suggs and just figure out the rest, you kind of backload it, you can do that as well. But, that is Orlando and New York. We shall move on. The only 7 o'clock game. We can move on from that. Indiana and Boston. Well, here's a place where we might get some stuff. We'll see. Stay tuned on this. 231. Nice total. Boston is a 12-point favorite here. We did get, but Naismith is out. Nemhard is out. Obi Toppin is out. I think he's going to be out for a while, it looks like. Miles Turner was questionable yesterday. He's no longer on the injury report. Boston, Drew Holiday, questionable, and Porzingis is questionable. Man, I've been burned at least twice this year with Porzingis overs, and he starts out on fire and just does not finish the game. Any little bump or bruise that guy gets, he's too valuable. And his injury history, they're not going to have him play through. If you watch the other game, the last game he played, he hurt his ankle, or I think it was his leg, shooting and they're just kind of dancing around at the 3-point line. He played through it, and then at halftime they just said, that's it. You're not going back out there. So maybe they baby him tonight. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. But yeah, Porzingis is questionable. Holiday is questionable. Do we have an if-then set up for either of these? I'm pulling up our if-then stuff now because, if they're both out, Tatum and Brown would look awesome. What's interesting is that White, Pritchard, Horford, they would all be basically neutral plays at best. But Tatum and Brown would just look spectacular. Tatum would be like a 55 DK projection. So you want to stay tuned on that. Chopper, Pacers, Boston. What do you got?
Yeah, good little game here. Even assuming Drew Holiday and Porzingis and everybody plays for Boston, I still think Tatum and Jaylen Brown, one or the other, is a really good play here. Maybe both of them too, but they're both really good. If those guys get ruled out, obviously they jump off the charts. But for Tatum, we're talking about an Indiana team that will let you get into the paint, let you get downhill, and Tatum and Brown, very good at attacking that. Tatum also, Indiana, because of that, because they let you get to the rim, they foul a lot. Tatum draws a lot of fouls. So he's set up here for a pretty nice game. I'd also like Jaylen Brown again for a cheaper price tag to potentially have one of those two guys have a really big game of taking over, especially if like Drew's out and Jaylen Brown takes over more assist responsibility, running the offense. That'd be great for him. So I definitely like those two pieces in a major, major way. Even if these other guys are in, I think they're good. If they're out, they're spectacular. On the run back, could you play some of these cheaper options, McConnell and Jarris Walker and all this stuff like you could? I think my favorite play from Indiana is Siakam, just because I think Boston's they will drive you off that 3-point line and give it to you up into the, in anything inside the 2-point range, they're willing to give up a little bit more than the 3-point range, and that's Siakam's game. And the numbers against Boston kind of bear that in recent history. He's a 20-point plus magnet against this team. That stands to reason why there's a reason for that. So I like Siakam on the run back if you want to go that route. But Tatum and Brown, I'd pick one of those guys, run with them, and then if I want to stack or something, Siakam is my run back.
You mentioned Walker. I don't think we need it, but just I guess like worth mentioning, I suppose. Probably going to take most of those top end minutes. We got 23 minutes dedicated to him, about 17 fantasy points, basically still minimum. That's a median projection, obviously. Maybe he's you have somebody you have in your 150 pool or something like that, but I'm not getting terribly excited about it. I agree. I like Tatum and Brown. Probably helps. You mentioned Pascal. Probably helps him if we lose Porzingis, Holiday, just defensively from the Boston side. Porzingis is pretty long. Holiday, historically a really good defender as well in the perimeter. Not necessarily he would match up against them, but just sort of being out there overall, defensive strength for Boston. But that's probably the only one I would play. Walker, I guess, if you're truly desperate, but I think we're gonna have better stuff going forward as far as the cheapies, and I'm okay with Pascal. If I have the salary, sure, Tatum by all means, love that as well. And like you said, it gets even better. If we lose, either Holiday or Porzingis or both. Anything else of note, or shall we move on? Spurs in Brooklyn, another total that's really, really low. Let's see what our projected starting lineup is for Brooklyn. 212.5 is the total for San Antonio at Brooklyn. San Antonio on the road. They are 8.5-point favorites, in part, mostly because Brooklyn is out. There's no Bogdanovich. There's no Cam Johnson. There's no Ben Simmons. There's no Cam Thomas. There's no Zaire Williams. There's no Trenton Watford. DFS is still officially questionable. Dorian Finney-Smith. I guess we'll keep an eye on that. They're playing the back half of a back-to-back. We are projecting Shake Milton to draw the starts, and we see when he has a chance to start, he can certainly he'll fire away. He'll take his shots. There's no guarantee he's going to make them, but if they need somebody to take some shots, he's certainly happy to step up for that. Keon Johnson, Jalen Wilson, DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith again currently questionable, and Nick Claxton, who looks pretty good actually as far as a math play. Wemby coming off that game in the Garden was just incredible. He stole Christmas. He was amazing. He was spectacular. And he played a ton of minutes too. I think he played 39 minutes or so. Played a lot of minutes in that game. I know Devin Vassell is still projecting pretty well as well. But I guess we got to dig into the nonsense that is Brooklyn, right?
Well, yeah, it would behoove us to talk about some Brooklyn with all the injuries. And Nick Claxton, probably my favorite player from that side of the ball. They're all so cheap. Everybody that is going to suit up tonight and be relevant for Brooklyn is cheap. And that's the key here. Like, you can play all those other, be angry at them, at what they do, but they're cheap, man. So, yeah, they kind of deserve a little bit of a nod here. Claxton, very good. Milton, very good. You can play either one of those. You could go Keon Johnson. You could go Noah Clowney. This could be a blowout, and some of these young guys could get run at the end of the game because San Antonio's playing pretty good, and Wemby's playing out of his mind. He really is. So he's definitely fighting to be one of those superstars that you roster now. He's in contention for sure. He's just doing everything out there. This should be a cakewalk matchup for him. So I would not. Like, how do you tell the difference between Wemby and Jokic and some other elite players this day. You really can't. These days, like it's tough. You put their name in a hat and you draw a name and say this guy's going to be the highest scorer. This guy put up 83 on Christmas, broke the slate the first game, man. And he could do it again tonight. So he's in contention. Other than him, like the optos are going to give you some Devin Vassell. Like that's just what they do at his price tag. He's hit or miss. He's okay, I guess. Still at 5,200. I like Sohan. I think he's can impact the game for fantasy. I don't play Chris Paul much these days, and that's probably about it for the Spurs. But Wemby's definitely he's that guy. You got to make decisions. What superstar you want to roster, and he's on that short list.
Yeah, I don't really know if he's better or worse than Joker. I think I'd have Joker ahead of him, but like I'm not going to argue with you. If you want to play Wemby, it's they're both spectacular. I ran a court IQ, and I realized this is a bad idea because I kicked off Simmons and Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson and Dennis Schroeder. We got some semblance of a sample, but just trying to see if anybody gets anything meaningful here. Keon Johnson has got a 25% usage, which is a bump of 5%, but he's still only like 0.88 fantasy points per minute. Claxton right at 1 fantasy point per minute. His usage goes up at 4.5% in a 23-minute sample. So what's even the point of that? Shake Milton, a 20% usage, 0.78 fantasy points per minute. That's only 99 minutes. I just want to see if we can get something from that, but it's just there's really not a lot we can grab. We haven't seen this situation all that often. And the other part of it is, Chop, there's a chance we lose DFS. Like, why is he had something flare up on him yesterday, and we'll see. We'll see if that happens. And if we lose him, we have that interesting scenario, Chop, where you can kind of, if the game blows out, right? Unless my math is wrong here, I went to UCF, so forgive me. They have 11. They would be down to 10 if they lose DFS. And then you can kind of figure, okay, well, we know the 5 that are going to close. I guess you don't necessarily know it because they could possibly close like a Jalen Wilson who's currently starting. Reese Beekman would probably close. I don't know if Deshaun. I'm just trying to figure, like, if this game gets ugly, maybe you can guess. Clowney probably mops, and instead of Claxton. Just something to monitor, but yeah. I kind of want DFS to play.
Yeah, whatever. I got a quick message here, Dean.
What do you got?
Just found this one out. R.I.P. Greg Gumbel, man. Greg Gumbel, CBS Sports. Brian Gumbel's brother. Looks like he passed away. Voice of college basketball there for many a years. R.I.P. Greg Gumbel, man. But you'd be surprised to know he was 78 years old. So
he was always sneaky old. Yeah, he was always sneaky old. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Was he still? He was still calling stuff, right? Was he still working?
Yeah, man. There we go. We got a little message up there. Good deal. Yeah,
that's a bummer.
That is tough. Everybody's kicking the bucket these days.
Well, I mean that's how it works. Unfortunately, that's our number soon enough to chop. I shouldn't say soon enough, but eventually. All right. Clue number 2 for we waited way too long for clue number 2 for today's Film Friday. It's already scrolling at the bottom. You can now combine the two. We have clue number 1, Magnificent. Clue number 2 is Peanuts. Peanuts is the second clue. Chop, do with that what you will, and go ahead and tell us in the Discord channel what movie we're talking about. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium, not just the Discord channel, but more specifically the live stream chat channel. Most of our Discord channels are free. There are some premium ones. Of course, this is a free one. All you need is just a standard RotoGrinders account. Does not need to be a paid account. Just any RotoGrinders account, and you can jump in there. Just one guess per clue, and tell me what movie we're talking about. Chopper, moving on from San Antonio and Brooklyn. Yes?
Moving on.
The Grizz in New Orleans, Memphis Grizzlies are big-time favorites here. Well, I shouldn't say big-time, but they're 8-point favorites. 123 is their team total. It's a pretty big number. As far as their injury report, well, Santi Aldama got hurt yesterday. Jay Huff is questionable. Smart obviously is still out. Williams is still out. Doesn't really matter. The New Orleans side, Jordan Hawkins is questionable. There's no Ingram. There's no Zion. Alvarado soon. They say soon on Alvarado, but not just yet. Memphis is still, they're hitting some stuff. At least they were before. I'm not sure how much has changed in the last hour or so. They were looking pretty good because they're pretty cheap. But yeah, talk to me about the Memphis Grizzlies and New Orleans. Just looking at the minutes projection for Memphis, they're very Golden State-esque. 30 for Ja, 30 for Triple J. It's the back half of a back-to-back. They kind of baby their guys sometimes. Bane 29, Wells 28, 80 26. Laravia getting 23. He's another one of those guys that might be interesting. And Nard Dog, Luke Kennard, another potential cheapie. You want to throw that dart. How do they feel about Memphis and the Pels?
My initial thoughts here were that New Orleans is just not good defensively anymore. And so you can do what you want against them no matter what your archetype is as an offensive player. But they really don't have much to protect the rim. So Ja Morant driving to the rim, we know what he does, his athleticism. So I think he's squarely in play at $8,600. For different reasons, for a different skill set, but for the same bad defense, Zach Edey, who's coming off a monster game, he could do it again, man. He could do it again against this team. So Edey's in play for me. Jaren Jackson's in play. There's just a lot of good pieces there for me. Memphis is going to be a team that really draws. I'm running 3 lineups tonight on DraftKings. 3 different in some higher dollar stuff. Maybe hit something. I'll definitely have a piece of Memphis, probably on all 3 rosters, different pieces. But and then on the run back there, I think the game suits best DeJounte Murray and Trey Murphy. Those are the 2 guys I'd be looking at on that side of the ball. And, any of those guys or any of these guys in this whole game seem pretty like you could always talk me into a Brandon Clark as a salary saver if I wanted to. I don't know. I don't know. There's some good pieces here, but I'd start with Morant and Edey and then drop off a tier to Jaren Jackson on that side. And then for New Orleans, it's Murray and Murphy and drop off a tier to everybody else.
David makes an interesting point. We've seen Edey playing some blowout run. I guess they don't want to play Clark in blowout run, maybe because of his injury history. So Clark's kind of tricky because he doesn't start and he probably doesn't blow out. Probably doesn't play blowout stuff. So not to say he can't get there in his 20 or so minutes. Huff being questionable, if this game does get ugly, maybe he's the guy that closes in an ugly game and it's not Edey. But you mentioned him. He's going to be really, really popular, and this is the perfect matchup for him, or one of the most perfect matchups for him. Toronto was also a spectacular matchup for him. Opponent total rebounds. New Orleans gives up the 4th most opponent total rebounds. And I believe they give up the 2nd or 3rd most opponent points in the paint. So, that certainly checks the right boxes. It was also a homecoming game for Zach Edey yesterday. I didn't know that until the game started. Do you know he's from Toronto? I wasn't aware of this.
I did not.
Yes, I don't know if there's friends and family lurking or not, but they were talking about how that was a homecoming game for him. I sort of agree with you where I'm probably going to have a piece of Memphis in every lineup. I'm not going to force it, but I could see it just happening because, even if it's just a cheapie to make stuff work, it could be Wells could be that cheapie. It could be Laravia. It could be Kennard. I guess it could be Clark. Again, Clark's kind of annoying because there's really not a scenario unless I guess Edey gets in like severe foul trouble or something like that, where we see him play 26 minutes or 25 minutes. Not to say he can't get there. And what are we projecting for him? 23, 24? I should pull that up as I'm saying it. 17. Yeah. So it's just hard to envision him playing a ton of minutes. And again, he's a pretty good fantasy point guard player and he's pretty cheap. So he's in the pool. But yeah, any of these Memphis guys, you mentioned New Orleans. I don't really love any of the runbacks. Misi's fine. I don't see him as a slate breaker per se. Are we getting any news? I see stuff is the Kings named Doug Christie, interim head coach. Doug Christie. Wasn't he the guy that something with his wife? He has a whole thing with his wife, right, Doug Christie? Wasn't she
Isn't he
famous for something?
The old Sacramento player that
Yeah,
played with C-Webb and those guys when they were battling the Lakers in the Western
yeah.
Conference?
And I think he was a Laker too at some point, if I'm not mistaken. But I
Interesting.
think there was something to do with his wife that was, I don't know, some kind of, I don't want to say scandalous or not, but maybe give it a Google and see what pops up. All right. So shout out to Doug Christie as the interim head coach there for Sacramento. It doesn't matter. Am I thinking of Matt Barnes? That's what I'm doing. Was Matt Barnes involved? Is that what it was? That might have been what was happening. The chat's talking about Matt Barnes. That might have been it. I'm getting like half stories. Okay. Your favorite Pelicans too? You mentioned some guys, but like if you had to play one, ideally,
DeJounte or Murphy. I'm pretty. I put those guys on the same tier.
Chopper, your first guess?
I mean, I'm just so in the dark right now. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
No, yeah, just it's nice to see you. Just you're putting some thought into it, though. It is not. We'll let the people know it's not the Sandlot. It's not the Sandlot. Is this a safe space, Chop? Sandlot's overrated. It's an overrated movie. It's not as good as you might think it is. It's not that
It's
great.
all right movie. I'm sure if you're of a certain age, it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, but people are nostalgic for it because they loved it when they were 10 and whatever. And I understand that. Nostalgia is undefeated. Doug Christie's wife was on a show called Basketball Housewives. Okay. Was that the one that's like a spoof with it's like Kevin Hart have one? I mean, maybe that's called something else. I'm not sure. Okay. Shall we move on from Memphis and New Orleans? Don Easy says I'm on a soapbox. Is that right? I'm got to get the word out that Sandlot is overrated. Got to make sure the people know. All right, we're gonna move on from Memphis and New Orleans. Do you want another clue, Chop? You want another clue? Let's do that. All right, let's drop another clue.
Yeah, let's do
Eric's not happy with my take either. I'm sorry, Eric. I apologize, but it doesn't make you like it any less. If you like it, great. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Clue number 3 is I believe it's November. I think November is clue number 3. Assuming I got this. I'm remembering off the dome. I think I ordered that correctly. Yes, Magnificent, Peanuts, and November. Those are our 3 clues. So go ahead, fire off in the Discord. Let me know what movie we're talking about. Chop, let's talk about your Rockets. Your Rockets are taking on the T-Wolves. 215. Again, another total. It's not particularly appealing. It is tight. Houston is a 1-point favorite, but both these teams are pretty solid defensively, which speaks to why the total is so low. As far as who's in and who's out in this one, we still have your boy Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is still out. Tari Eason is also questionable. We've seen Ahmed Thompson jump in the starting lineup and be spectacular. We saw Cam Whitmore in a blowout. He had himself a heck of a day. He helped me get there because I actually cashed the lineup at THT yesterday. So shout out to me shout out to Cam Whitmore because Cam Whitmore is doing all the heavy lifting. As far as Minnesota, who's in and who's out for Minnesota, midday downgrade, Chopper of Alexander Walker is questionable. He had the fish, not feeling particularly well. Otherwise, everything is pretty standard. Well, Joe Ingles is officially questionable. Not that he would play anyway unless this game got really, really goofy. Your Rockets and Minnesota. This is a hard one from a math perspective, but if you want to give me like the game theory, I don't think anybody's really going to be owning this game outside of maybe. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be owned, right? Maybe some amen.
Yeah, this is not doesn't look very appealing. It's a low total for the NBA these days. It's 2 good defensive teams, or at least Houston's pretty good. Minnesota was last year. They fell off this year, but you never know. Amin Thompson jumped up $400 overnight, and Tari Eason is back. How does that affect him? So, if he's going to be chalky, I could not fade him last night, but I could fade him tonight if he's going to be chalk. But I mean, Şengün's got to get in there against Gobert. That's not a great matchup for him with all that size. And this is just not a super appealing game. But I don't know. Anthony Edwards could always do damage. Julius Randle's looked better lately, and if he's going to take a whole bunch of shots, then he could get there. He's had a couple of good games in a row. The other stuff doesn't appeal. Like I'm not digging down into the Mike Conleys or the Jaden McDaniels tonight or the Jabari Smiths or Tari Easons if he plays or any of those guys. I think it's one of the good players or nothing at all. Like give me Jalen Green, maybe a Fred Van Vliet, maybe an Edwards, maybe a Randall, or avoid it. But this is not the place I want to go digging for salary savers. That's for sure.
All right, so apparently I'm getting my story is confused, but apparently Derek Fisher was the one who was involved with Matt Barnes' wife. I feel like that was all around like the same time. So maybe that's what's happening there, according to the chat. Okay, and the Kevin Hart show that I was thinking of is Real Husbands of Hollywood. Okay, all right, and I think all those, yeah, okay. That was the confusion. I'm a little bit startled here. I'm a little bit thrown off. You know why, Chop? Because we do have a winner. Somebody got it. Chop. I won't tell you the answer. I won't spoil it. Don't go to Discord. You can still play along. And for those that are still playing along for fun, just don't read the Discord. We have a winner. Shout out to Gregorius the Wise. Yeah, they took it down in 3. The third clue. We'll go ahead and drop the fourth one. And again, we're just playing out the string. The fourth one is Indian. Magnificent, Peanuts, November, Indian. Those are our 4 clues. And it's funny because Gregorius the Wise explains why he guessed what he guessed, and it had nothing to do with, it wasn't correct, but he got there. That's all that matters. It's like, I don't think that his reasoning didn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We have Cleveland. Cleveland taking on Denver. 3 games left on this slate. I think the games get better. 237 is the total. Denver is a 3-point dog here, Chop. So this game is the classic. It's high and it's tight, even involving Cleveland. A Cleveland game of 237. It's a pretty big total. As far as who's in and who's out in this one, I should check the updated injury report, but pretty sure it's not going to change. Wade is still questionable. It's Dean Wade is questionable. Okoro, of course, is out for Cleveland. For Denver, we have Aaron Gordon out. Jamal Murray officially probable with his ankle. Yeah. Chop, how do we feel about this game? Looks like a pretty good environment. We're expecting Peyton Watson to draw the start for Denver. Murray, Brown, Porter, Watson, Joker. And on the other side, we have Garland, Mitchell, Dean Wade, again, officially questionable. Mobley and Jared Allen starting for the Cavs. Your thoughts, Denver and Cleveland?
Yeah. So the stars, Jokic is, he's going to be on the short list along with Wemby, the 2 guys we've mentioned so far that are in contention to play in that high dollar range. I think that I'm not worried about the matchup. Obviously, he's matchup proof. So Jokic, if you're going to get some pretty good low ownership on him, I think that's the route. Not really sure I want to touch anybody else on Denver in this matchup. So I'd go that route. But it should be a competitive game, which should keep Donovan Mitchell in contention to play this game the whole time. Evan Mobley, maybe Darius Garland, Jared Allen. I think it's going to be a pretty tight rotation for Cleveland. You can play any of those guys. I'm personally probably not going to end up playing anybody, but maybe Jokic. But I'm not going to poo-poo on anybody's picks from this game. These are all good players. It's a really good game environment as far as competitiveness, and so should be good.
We have kind of surprisingly, Chop. I guess it's not that surprising because we have the salary if you want to do it, but 30% Joker. It seems kind of surprising to me. I mean, of course, this projection is close to 65 points on DK. So if you have the salary, by all means, go for it. But I was a little surprised to see that number. That's where we currently have it. The next most popular player in this game on the other side is one of my favorite plays on the slate, especially on DK. On FanDuel, he's like over 1K more. But Evan Mobley, especially without Aaron Gordon as well, defensively, he's coming in at 19%. 7.6 just seems too cheap for Mobley. I like him a good bit. 32 minutes, and that's a tough place to play historically. Garland coming in at 15%, Jamal Murray 11%. So, and I saw somebody in chat mention Don Mitchell. Let's see. Eric Johnson says, Don Mitchell, my favorite GPP play of the slate. Well, he's not going to get played. Doesn't get played very often. Somewhere in the single digits, about 8% or so. He's got to score a lot. He certainly can. And then Don Yeezy says, talking about Porter Jr. smash, he's not really going to be owned either. About 5% for MPJ.
Which Porter Jr.?
I
Michael,
assume
Kevin,
it's Michael. I assume it's Michael.
Kevin, Craig. Like, there's a lot of Porter Juniors in the NBA.
I don't think it's Craig. Craig's a little too ambitious, as far as I can tell.
He might smash tonight. Wichita State legend.
There you go. Shout out to the Cyclones.
Shockers.
The
Shockers, man.
Yeah. We're just gonna let that sit there, Chop. that's
okay. Clue number 5, Dean. Come on. I mean, we're past it now. Like, somebody already got it. I need to figure this out. I'm drawing blanks here. Come on. Clue number 5. What we got? 35 likes. Come on, guys. 35 likes. Unacceptable. Let's go.
I just realized my lighting is not that great. My apologies, but whatever. We will make do. Hit that like button, and you want to subscribe as well, so you know we go live. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things that make us help us keep the lights on here. We have 64,000 subs. I never really noticed how many subs. 64,000. We're on the road to 65,000. Let's get to 65,000. Doesn't go beyond 64. I don't know if it's one away or 999 away, but do hit that subscription, and so you know we go live. And the 5th clue, it's actually scrolling right now, I believe, right? Magnificent, Peanuts, November, Indian, and the last clue for you, Chop. I have back ones just in case. Illusion is the last clue, the official last clue, but we always can use some more, and I can come up with some on the fly, I guess. So there you go. Feel free to, and I don't think I saw the answer on YouTube either. So if YouTube's playing along, nobody got it over there, which many times you see people drop the answer over there in YouTube. Of course, we already got the answer in the Discord channel. Okay, Chop. Anything else of note as far as Cleveland and Denver, or are we moving on?
No, we're moving on.
We're gonna have time for all sorts of time from the peanut gallery, from the chat. We got 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes or so, until crunch time comes on. Will's coming on, TJ's coming on, Roth is coming on. So we'll have questions. We'll have time for questions. Maybe we'll take a look at the Sims. We have a boatload of time, and we'll see if any news is breaking on us. Jordan Hawkins, as I say that, officially in for New Orleans. Get excited. Okay, Dallas and Phoenix, 224.5. That is the total. Phoenix is a 1-point favorite here versus the Mavs. We mentioned earlier, Luka's gone. Luka's going to be gone for a while. Otherwise, Lively is officially questionable. Has that changed? I know we have a new 5:30, but I don't think that's changed. I think he's still questionable, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just confirm this. Lively is still questionable for Phoenix. Booker is obviously out. Grayson Allen is out. Bull, if you're looking for him, he's not playing basketball. He wouldn't be playing anyway, but there you go. That is our, we're going to get a boost in usage for Kyrie, a boost in usage for Durant, but has the salaries kind of caught up to that and fully adjusted where they're not as appealing as they would be when those injuries first happened. How do you feel about Dallas and Phoenix?
On the Phoenix side, I think the 9,300 for Durant is, it's enough to make you stop and think, do I really want to play him tonight amidst all the other players in the range, in that price range? So I think he's a great play, but it makes you think a little bit. The Kyrie salary, way too low for me. I'm not even thinking about that. He's a plug and play for me. There's just too many ways to beat the Phoenix defense, and he has every trick in his bag to do it. Inside, outside, free throw line, mid-range, whatever it is, he can do it all. So Kyrie's a plug and play for me at 8,300 with Luka out like that. So that's easy. Now, the other guys I'm not getting a lot of. Don't really particularly want to – somebody probably step up and be his – he's Batman now. Somebody else is going to be Robin. He was Robin. Now somebody else has got to be his Robin. So maybe it is P.J. Washington standing out there in the corner just shooting threes all night long. Maybe it's Clay, although I think Clay's probably a little long in the tooth to be doing that, to be playing Robin right now. But somebody will. But Kyrie's number one. Durant's fine.
Maybe the Chris O'Donnell Robin.
Okay, that's a good movie because I'm lost on this movie today, man. I don't even know. But Kevin Durant, fine on that run back. If you want to play Bradley Beal, I guess he's okay. The rest of it not very appealing. I think Tyus and Nurkic and Royce O'Neal are priced up enough now to where I don't, I played them on Christmas Day, but this is a little bit. I don't need to play them today.
Ownership wise, we got 15% Kyrie on DK, 15% KD. I like playing them both together. I'm good with that. I like KD a little bit more, but of course, the salary's going to cost you a little more as well. Gafford coming in at 12%, and if we lose Lively, do we have an if-then set up for that? I would imagine Gafford will be the one, I presume, to draw at the start. See if we have something set up for that. I mean, he'd have to get some kind of boost. You'd have to think. And he already projects like okay now. It's just the opportunity cost. And playing behind Lively, we're only giving him 19 minutes or so. Pretty good fantasy point per minute player. Dinwiddie's one of those guys that benefits with the absence of Luka. But, he's no longer in the 3Ks. He's now almost 5K. He's fine, right? We're giving him 28 minutes. I agree with you on Clay. Just I have a hard time rostering him. He basically his only out is getting there with it, making a bunch of threes. He's had a couple good games against the Warriors, ironically enough, but otherwise, the season's been kind of a dud. And the price is adjusted. Not that you can't play him. Royce O'Neal is one of those guys that can give you those Ben Simmons kind of games, but adding in some threes, like 7-7-7 and a couple stocks, so he can get there that way. Did not start last game, but probably closes. TJ, by the way, in the chat saying Kyrie is now Nightwing. I don't know who Nightwing is. I guess that's a Marvel character. Should I Google who Nightwing is? Do you know who Nightwing is?
Doesn't sound familiar right offhand.
Nightwing is a DC Comics character who is a skilled detective, acrobat, and leader. Okay. But I'm not aware.
Does he have a sidekick?
Nightwing used to be Robin.
Oh,
what?
Okay. I didn't know his backstory.
What?
Yeah.
Weird. I'm gonna have to investigate this now.
Well, TJ's coming on.
I didn't know that.
You can ask him. Has he had his own movie, Nightwing? He says it's his favorite character. That's a bold proclamation.
No, I don't think he has his own movie. Or he might have an animated movie, but not.
So Robin grows up to become Nightwing, or Nightwing grows up to become Robin?
Robin grows up to become Nightwing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wasn't aware. All right. Anything else here as far as Phoenix and Dallas?
Move on.
Porzingis and Drew Holiday, they remain questionable. Thanks for nothing, Boston. They'll never give you anything. God, you really need that edge? They just won't tell you. It's a regular season game. Nobody cares. Stop with your games. Okay, let's play this last game. It's the Golden State Warriors. They're taking on the Clippers. 212 is the total. Clippers are 5-point favorites here. And this is the rare instance, I guess, where a team that has a 103 total is going to get some looks because, there's no GP3, there's no Mitten. I buried the lead. There's no Steph Curry. And I guess Draymond's not officially out. He's doubtful. Clippers, Terrence Mann is out. Kawhi, of course, is still out. But this game is, I was going to say it's mostly about Golden State, but Zubac looks really good, and Powell looks really good. Both those guys look pretty positive here against the Warriors tonight. And we are guessing that the starting lineup of the Warriors this evening is Dennis Schroeder, Podziemski, as well as Wiggins, Kuminga, and Trace Jackson Davis. Is it possible Buddy Hield starts? Sure. Is it possible that Kevon Looney starts? Yeah, that's possible. But that's what we have right now, and you're not going to get that until every other game is done. Every other game is closed because that's a 10 o'clock game on the East Coast. Dallas and Phoenix is 9 o'clock, and we're not getting a starting lineup an hour before this game because, it's not like it's a billion-dollar industry, and maybe they should give starting lineups out before 10 minutes before the game starts. But that's where we're at. Yeah. Chop, you want to prioritize Warriors? How much Warriors is too much Warriors? Because I think there's a lot of fragility to the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's some fragility, but the prices are so good here, and that's even assuming Draymond is in. If Draymond gets ruled out, it becomes we
got him out. We're projecting him out because he's doubtful.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. So, no, I mean, right before we came on the air, he was. I think
Give it a refresh. He's
okay.
out.
Yeah, that's my bad. So yeah, then these guys are even better now because Kuminga's awesome. I think uh, when you talk about 5,500 or less, or 45 to 5,500 range, 45, 57, whatever. If you can give me 30 points, you're fine. You give me more than 30, that's bonus. That's icing on the cake. I think he's definitely good for 30 in this situation. Dennis Schroeder, Dean. Here's the interesting one because he's been pretty bad with Golden State, right? Now he's getting all this opportunity. We sat here on this show 2 weeks ago today, and Schroeder was playing for Brooklyn. I think he was playing, or maybe it was still Golden. Anyway, 2 weeks ago today, he was $7,700. Now he's 53, and he's finally going to get his first big opportunity here with Golden State with Curry out. So I think that one's extremely, extremely tough to pass up on to me because they're going to need that offense. I don't think Podziemski is the answer here. I think he was really he's like that Talon Horton Tucker thing with the Lakers when they said, "Oh, we're not trading him, man. He's good." Well, Golden State.
I remember that they refused to trade THT for somebody actually good. I can't remember who it was, but yeah,
Golden State did the same thing with this guy last year. They assumed he was a lot better than he was based off of a very small NBA sample size, and the guy kind of stinks. So I don't know if he's the answer. I'd rather play Schroeder. Trace Jackson Davis is pretty good. He can get you a double-double. When I look at the Clippers, man, I really have a hard time not seeing Zubac just smash here in this matchup. Like that's just so he's the guy I highlight as not just a game stack member, but just a one-off from this game in general, is Zubac. So it's where I'm at on this game.
Yeah, ownership is there on Podziemski at 21%. Like I think Schroeder is probably going to come a little higher. I thought he would at least at 5.3. We're giving him 32 minutes. He's going to be tasked with handling this offense for a good bit, I would imagine. We're expecting Kuminga to start, so we're giving him 30 minutes. He looks pretty good. I did run a court IQ where we kicked off Steph and we kick off Draymond. And what's interesting is, nobody's that great as far as fantasy points per minute. The biggest number is Looney, I guess, but 1.14 fantasy points per minute. 1.08 is the biggest number, like the real players. I guess Looney might start. We'll say 1.08 for Kuminga, a 31.87 usage though, and a bump at 4.2%, and that's in almost 300 minutes. So I think Kuminga's the best play, possibly. If not Kuminga, it's Peyton. No, not Peyton. I didn't kick him out. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. And then Schroeder. So he's got a usage of 24 point. This will speak to just how terrible he's been as far as making his shots chop, because this doesn't make sense. It'll break your brain. Schroeder this is just 41 minutes, small sample stuff, 24% usage, 41 minutes, 24% usage, 0.42 fantasy points per minute. That's just, and again, he's just missing a bunch of shots, right? That's pretty wild. You don't see that very often. But yeah, and you mentioned Zubac on the other side. His ownership is 15%. Like Zubac and Edey, that's sort of the chocolate centers. And then, I want to get Joker too. And at DK, obviously, you only roster 2. FanDuel, you can only roster 1. And there's a big prioritization. And I think that's one reason why Jackson Davis gets pushed down a little bit. And also, I don't really love the matchup of Jackson Davis against Zubac. In theory, he should get some run. He's only coming at 14%. We didn't mention Wiggins. His role should be pretty sound. He should play 30 minutes, assuming this game doesn't get goofy. And did you give your take as far as Powell? Because he's been rock solid of late.
Yeah, Powell's good. So Zubac is a standalone play. And I don't mind playing him with one of his teammates. And I would choose between Powell or Harden, because one of those guys has the potential to really disrupt this slate. I don't know which one. They're both really solid. Obviously, Powell's cheaper, but if you wanted to go the Harden route, they're going to have a hard time defending him, I think, tonight. But one of those two guys, Harden or Powell, probably Powell because he's cheaper. I don't mind pairing him with Zubac, Dean. And I saw something here earlier. I'm trying to find a name, but The man was asking about our props tonight. You got any good props tonight? Prop betting?
It's funny. Normally I do hit some props, but it's just been a busy day for me. I didn't really have a chance to get to it, unfortunately. I did a lot of football stuff earlier. I had some other obligations I had to take care of, and I don't have anything. I wish I did. Didn't get a chance to dig into the college football stuff. I know there's still some college football games going on, but I got nothing. In theory, I like Zach Edey, like over PRA, but I don't know what the number is. So if the number is too high, I won't play it. But that's something I was going to look into. I did have yesterday. I had him up to 13 rebounds, so that worked out. Toronto, just as a side note, put this in your back pocket. 4 games. I want to say it's 4 games now they played without Pirtle as a team. The last 4 games, their rebounding percentage is either 41 or 42%. It's like 4 or 5% lower than the second worst team in the league. They're getting destroyed, annihilated on the boards. Just rebounders against Toronto until Pirtle comes back has been a thing. So, and I'm not sure if the books have adjusted to that just yet. We should mention, by the way, Combo Lite. Maybe we'll talk about the Sims in a second too. We have time. We got 15 minutes. Start asking some questions in chat too. Whatever's in your mind. If you got a 2v2, I know a lot of stuff is saved for crunch time, but we are done with the slate. We flew through the slate. You can get access to the Sims yourself. We're giving you a discount here, taking $10 off your first month of Combo Lite, SimLabs building tool, as well as you get some content from some of your favorites. DFS analysts, it's just $19 and change to get yourself your first month of Combo Lite. Should also mention Splash. You haven't joined Splash, and Splash is one of those places where you can get some of your over under totals out there. We'll give you a nice sweet promo code. It's Roto10. When you play $100 in quick picks, you get another $50 back. There's Drew Holiday out. Maybe we get Porzingis news. There's the Zinger news. Yeah, okay. So Boston is going to look pretty good. I guess they're just taking no chances with Porzingis and Holiday being out, and now Tatum or Brown or both. They're both going to look really good. I don't know if you're going to want to play both. I guess you can, but sure. Christopher is saying Big Cat in cash. I would say no. Cat is spectacular. He's awesome, but he just doesn't fit the cash game build for me. I think you're playing Edey or you're playing Joker or maybe you're playing Zubac in cash. I don't think you're playing Cat. Does Dean eat New England clam chowder? No. No. What a random question. But no. Are you a fan of the clam chowder, Chop?
It's not bad. If you get some good clam chowder, don't get the bad clams. Don't get the...
Well, how do I know if it's good or bad?
I don't know. That's the thing about it. It's clams. It's clams. You don't know.
Too risky. Risk reward. It's too much risk. No reward's not good
risky. So real quick, Dean, let's see. Who are the best plays for Memphis, New Orleans, Houston, T-Wolves, FanDuel, Express slate? I would tell you that, I would jam in the Memphis New Orleans game more than the Houston Minnesota game. So I jam as many of them. I love Morant, Murray, Murphy, Edey. Just make sure you get all those guys in the Triple J. You need that stuff, and you could round it out with some cheaper Rockets if you need to. But that's where I would go with that build. And also going back to the props, Dean.
Yeah, what do you got?
We got time, man. We got time.
Yeah, fire away. Man.
I was just going to say that I can't – the specifics I'm having a hard time putting my finger on. But for the college football tonight, if you want to throw that stuff in there. So Texas Tech plays in about an hour. Haven't got news on their starting running back, Taj Brooks. He's an NFL caliber running back. His prop is around 115 to 120 rushing yards. But I think he either sits this out or there's a chance he's limited, doesn't take the full – he's ready to go to the NFL, man. So there's a chance that could be a very high number, too high, and he doesn't play the full amount of snaps. So I like the under on that Taj Brooks thing. In the same game, they're playing Arkansas. Talon Green, very good running quarterback. I don't mind his overrunning for Talon Green. Syracuse plays Washington State tonight. Syracuse will name their score. They will score. They'll score a ton of points tonight. Now, how do you get there? Because the passer, the QB prop is like 338 yards now for that guy, McCord. Still might be too low, but the passing touchdowns might be the way you go. 2.5 is the passing touchdowns. But those receivers, Meeks and Pena and Gadsden, you can hit the overs on those guys. That's kind of where my head is at tonight for the college football. Just throw some stuff in there. You know, if you ain't got nothing else to do and you're just watching, you want to watch something, have a little something on the line. Can't build a DFS roster. It's almost impossible, man. Build DFS rosters.
Arkansas money line?
There's a lot of smart people out there on the interwebs that say Texas Tech is a really good play tonight. I love Texas Tech. So I'm not going to go that far, but because there's a lot of moving pieces, man. Like Texas Tech, I don't know how much they got a new quarterback tonight. I don't know how much Taj Brooks plays, but Arkansas is going to be missing half the receiving core and, you know, other key members. So that's kind of tough to say. But I mean, there's a lot of smart people say Texas Tech. If I was going to put money on it, I would have taken Arkansas, but I'm going way against the grain on that one. So I don't know if you want to touch
one of our smart analysts, Justin Van Zuden, STL Cards, has his scores and odds play for 2 weeks now as Arkansas +3. He's loved it, and he got it in early to get that line, and it actually hasn't moved. It actually, I guess, moved half a point. I think it's +2.5 now.
You can play that one. I would say, in addition to that, Syracuse, I really think they probably named their score tonight. They probably it's a big number. If this was in the regular season, this would have been 3 or 4 or 5 point spread. It's like 18 right now because of the opt-outs for Washington State, but there's a reason for it. So they probably could get into the 40s or 50s if they want to. Can Washington keep up? I don't think so.
Everyone watching, you guys listen to Chop. He knows what he's talking about.
Sometimes.
Let's win some money.
I did go 2-0 this morning on Navy and under.
There you go.
I had Navy money line too. Let's go.
Is there any solution, Chop, to that opt-out stuff, or it's just that's what it is? I understand why the players do it; it makes total sense. But is there any way around that?
Out for the bowl games? Nah,
yeah, when they they don't want to get injured before they go to the pros. So I get
no,
it.
You're not gonna. No, that is what it is. You know, guys are smart enough now. This game doesn't mean nothing. They got so many bowls. You want to make it. You want to do away with it. You do away with a lot of the bowls that don't mean anything. You know, make the bowls mean something, which is hard to do.
That's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. But but a lot of the opt-outs aren't from the pros; they're from the transfer portal.
Oh,
so if you want to do away with that, you've got to hit these guys with. You cannot you can transfer one time for free and not sit out. But after that, if you want to keep transferring, you got to sit out a year. That's what they got to do. They can't just let them transfer completely without sitting out a year. If you hit them with a year to sit out upon transfer, then they'll stop transferring out like that. Don't know if it'll happen though.
Wendy's Balls in chat talking about insurance. I know that was something that Colorado and Deion Sanders were talking about. Give the players, insurance options, which I think it's an innovative concept. I think that's a good idea. But like you said, it's a tricky conversation. There's a bunch of questions in chat. Let's go ahead and knock these out. Let's see. Richie Hartz is saying favorite player on the Nets not named Nick Claxton. So your favorite net not named Claxton is who?
Nick Claxton's okay. And after that, it's a big drop off. I would say Shake Milton, but like I'm not in love. I'm not in love with any of them. And Claxton's okay, not great.
It's for me. It's Shake, especially if he starts. I'm assuming he starts, and I think Tyrese Martin is a guy that can get there as well. We got him projected for 25 minutes, and he's essentially still minimum. Not an amazing fantasy appointment of player, but he's cheap enough where playable. Let's see. There's some other questions I missed. You answered that question from Keelan. Derek wants to know Pritchard or Schroeder.
Oh, Schroeder's got to have more upside. He's got to have more upside tonight.
Even with the Holiday being ruled out, right?
Yeah, there's so much opportunity for Schroeder. He's just got to be salivating to finally get a chance here to do something.
We're projecting Hauser to start for the record, which I think that's correct. But Pritchard will be the first guy off the bench, and decent chance that Pritchard still would close in a close game. I'm not terribly excited about Hauser. Not say you can't play him, but don't be surprised if Hauser is the one drawing the start. Just straight up your favorite spend. Steven wants to know your favorite spend on the slate is who?
Man, that's a good. I mean, I think at this point, Jason Tatum at this point.
I think it's Tatum too. It doesn't mean we can't play Joker, but
I mean, I probably prefer Wemby over Joker.
And the other part of it is we like Zubac and we like Edey, so we can stop there. We don't necessarily have to play one of the big boy centers, but if they put up 80, then we're potentially in trouble. They're talking about. I'm just catching up on the clam chowder conversation. Mr. Richard wants to know. Let's see, did I just lose that question?
Darn it, Dean! You didn't. I saw it in chat earlier, but you're gonna have to break down the movie.
Oh, you saw the answer. Answer.
Yeah, somebody in the YouTube chat, Mardon posted it. He said it was Ocean's 11, which I would have never gotten, but I don't know how you got there from those clues. You're gonna have to break that one down.
Yeah, I was gonna say Meadow was my last clue. I had one on deck. Las Vegas translate the Meadows. So Magnificent is just a play on Ocean's 11. They robbed 3 different casinos. The MGM Grand being one of them. Grand, Magnificent. Grand and Magnificent are synonyms. That's just Peanuts. Peanuts. Matt Damon's character. Matt Damon is in Ocean's 11. You know what the character name is? What's his character name? It's Linus. Like, where else do you know the name Linus from?
Goodness. Okay. All right.
Yes, that's a reference to Linus. Linus is the name of the character in Peanuts. November. So how many months are there, Chop? There's 12 months, right?
Oh, okay. Man, that one was. That's the one right there. If I would have correlated November to the number 11, then maybe I'm onto something. But no, I'm thinking something seasonal. Yeah, that's where you lost me.
Indian is in reference to the oceans. There's the Atlantic, there's the Pacific, there's the Arctic, there's the Indian Ocean.
Indian could have been a reference to just the general thought of casino, Indian casinos.
Yeah, but I picked one of the oceans, Ocean's 11, and the last clue was illusion. Illusion, another way of saying an illusion, is a mirage. And the Mirage was also robbed. A part of spoiler alerts. Was it the Bellagio, the Mirage, and the MGM Grand? I think were the 3 casinos that were robbed. So there you go. And was it Gregorius the Wise says the reason why I guessed Ocean's 11 is because Brad Pitt's always eating in his movies. So I just assumed Brad Pitt was eating peanuts. I guess I don't know, but he got there, and that's all that matters, I suppose. So shout out to Gregorius the Wise. Does it all make sense now, Chad?
I mean, they make sense, but man, you went above and beyond trying to throw everybody off on this one.
Well, look, I just put the clues out there, and you do with them.
I mean,
what you will
for like November. That's just throwing a monkey wrench into everything. Nobody's gonna think November. Oh, the 11th month. Oh, it's 11. Something to do with 11. Nobody. It's November. It's like, no, I don't. That one's the one. I might have to agree with the chat here. The chat's saying terrible clues. I don't know. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. Now I don't know.
Mr. Richard wants to know, DK single entry tournament. Can you go with Zubac and TJD for centers and go elsewhere for other positions? Basically, just play those 2 players, TJD and Zubac in the Golden State Clipper game. Are you okay with that?
Oh, man. Zubac for sure. Man, you're passing up on a lot of good centers, though, for Trace Jackson Davis. But I think he's fine. He's a decent player in a vacuum. There's just a lot of good centers out there. But, yeah, Zubac for sure. Trace Jackson Davis is but you could. That's fine.
Edey's PRA apparently is 22. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what his projection is. We do have that as well. I wonder what our projection is for him as far as his pull this up. We got him projected for 23.05, which I think is more than 22. So there you go, if the projections are correct. Don Easy wants to know how your college lineups are looking. How are we looking, Chop? Or we don't know. It's too early.
Oh, it's way too early. I think the fireworks start here with these last 3 games coming up, so it's way too early.
Fly Gaming is asking, oh man, this is a tough question. I like both these guys a lot. I'm glad this is what I'm the host. Mobley versus Zubac.
Oh, Zubac. No, the Mobley's good, but Zubac he's just in a smash position tonight, man. Like, he ought to be able to, dare I say, ravage that front court.
Yeah, I like Mobley in a Joker run back. If we're playing Joker, I'm looking for a run back. He's my favorite Cleveland run back. Samuel says, fellows, who do you prefer with Brooklyn guards, Milton or Johnson? If you're going to pick one of those two, Keon Johnson or Milton, I would give the lean to Milton personally.
I mean, fantasy-wise, Milton for me, for sure. Keon's a much better real-life player, but I don't think that matters very much for us.
Caleb Douglas scored a touchdown. I don't know what team he plays for, but I'm happy for him.
Texas Tech. That's not a bad bet.
Oh, it hasn't happened yet.
He must be predicting it's not a bad bet, but yeah, that's not bad.
Did you see Draymond's foul the other day with the double clothesline takedown?
Man, what an idiot, man!
I like
he's
Draymond.
Just doing
I really
it.
do.
He's just doing it for the show now, man. That's all. He's just doing it for the show.
That one was just indefensible. That one was just.
They're all indefensible. He's kicking people in the balls, man. It's all indefensible. But yeah, that was really above and beyond. Thoughts on Donovan Mitchell for fan? Donovan Mitchell's. I think he's in a good game environment. It's fine. Like, who picks up a roster and says, and look at all these 8 games and say, oh, okay, I'm going to plug in Donovan Mitchell. Nobody. They don't, but that's what makes him so good tonight. Like, I'm not going to play him, but that's what makes him good, because then at the end of the day, for a pretty decent salary, the guy drops 55 and you're in a pretty good spot. But, yeah, he's fine. GPPs.
Who was you saying, Banner's asking about Pritchard versus Vassal for Yahoo Cash? I would just say Vassal is, like, safer. If you're talking about cash, I guess minutes are probably a little more secure.
I wish we had Kid Yahoo here, but I don't know the price tags.
Well, I assume they're basically similar.
But I would say the same thing, Vassell, however you want to say it.
Paul's asking about Jake LaRavia as a salary saver. Yeah, he's in the mix. Those Memphis guys.
He's stuffing the sheet over there, man. He's stuffing the stat sheet. So yeah, he's in the mix for salary saving for sure.
Did we get an update on Boston? Let's see if we did. Yeah, let's see what optimals are looking like now with the absence of both Porzingis and Drew Holiday. Should shake things up a little bit. We're also expecting Horford to start now if he wasn't starting before. Steven's asking if DFS is out. What about Clowney? Yeah. They start?
There's upside with him, but there's also a very, very low floor, even with DFS out. There is some upside. The floor, I think, outweighs the upside, though, for that guy.
Okay, let's see. Tatum is the most popular star. Claxton looks really good. I keep forgetting mentioning him amongst the centers. He's right there with Edie, if not better. I prefer Edie, but if you want to play Claxton, by all means, go for it. I don't love the matchup, but like if he's going to play 28 to 30 minutes or so, he's not really priced for that necessarily. Jaylen Brown. Would you not play Tatum and Brown in the same lineup? Would you cap it at 1?
I'd play them both. If it came out to that, I would certainly play them both. And I don't know what the refreshed ownership projection numbers are on those two guys, but I assume Tatum is going to be much higher, right? But there's no reason why Brown can't even. I mean, if we're going just strictly by numbers, of course, Tatum has a better opportunity to outscore Brown, but I don't see why Brown couldn't outscore him tonight and be that guy. But I would play them both. I think they're both. A lot of this is going to fall on those two guys now, and this is a good matchup for them.
Going to make crunch time here in just a second. I want to answer Q-Dog's question. Bones Highland.
What? He still plays?
I don't think that's something we need to do.
He's still in the league?
Projecting him he's still in the league. He plays for the Clippers. We're projecting him for 0 minutes, which is kind of surprising, like 0. But no.
I saw a video of Bones Highland the other day playing some random guy in a gym, and the guy was torching him. I don't know that Bones Highland. Yeah, man, I don't know that Bones Highland. I don't know if he's the guy you want to go to.
He's another one of those players, by the way, Chop. You're talking about like the Lakers didn't want to trade THT.
Oh yeah.
And the Warriors, they don't want to trade Pods. There was the Bones Island tribe was real for several years. Like, this guy's amazing. How is he not playing? They can't possibly trade him. And it turns out maybe he's just not that great. Maybe he's not that great.
You just call out the names. You're talking about Big T and Nugget Nation. You're talking about Big T.
Give me the slate breaker. Who's breaking the slate?
Whew. Man, I don't know how, the chalk and stuff, so I don't know about all that. I'm just going to give you the guy. I'm going to go Ja Morant.
Okay, so Q-Dog's talking about Porter might be out. Okay, but even still, yeah, he'll get some run if KPJ does sit. It just doesn't seem necessary, man. We're starting at 0 minutes and he might play 18. There's a bunch of other dudes that basically are the same price, more or less, that you can say they're going to play 20-ish. Maybe if you're playing the night slate or something like that. But you need KPJ out. All right, let's go ahead. Let's bring on crunch time. It's Kevin Roth. It's TJ Zwarych. And it is Will. I believe Will's on today. Let's do it. Crunch time. Here we go. Yes, we got it right. TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. We got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Will, all about the prop life. The people are asking about props. Probably can sprinkle some of yours into the people as well. Roth, happy Friday. It's so weird, man. It felt like it was Friday several times this week. I think it's probably Friday. It's definitely Friday, right?
You should try it with kids and no daycare. It felt like Friday for the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Hey, can we discuss something real quick? Why does Clint Capella suck? That guy sucks.
I bet him over yesterday on his points, and it didn't quite get there. And
no,
yeah,
I'm not playing that guy ever again unless everyone else on the team is dead. That is the only way I'll ever play that guy ever again. He is trash, and he's on my shit list forever.
Did you have a really good lineup yesterday, and he kind of ruined it?
Is that what happened? That is exactly why I'm pissed off. Yep.
Yeah. Because there were some big scores. Did you play? I know. I bet I know who you played on Houston.
Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got Whitmore. Got my guy Amen Thompson. I was just loaded. I had it all, and then that jabroni came and tanked my lineup.
It wasn't great. It wasn't. He's played like 25 minutes, so it wasn't even like a minutes thing. He played actually more minutes than he was projected for, and the Bulls are the best team in the world to get in the paint. And I think he only took 3 shots, and they were both dunks or something like that.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, it was. I watched basically that game was wild. You probably weren't watching it because of the aforementioned kids, but the Bulls were up at like 25 or 30 or something crazy, and Atlanta went on like a 28-2 run in the fourth. It was nuts. They were going crazy there in Atlanta. It was a lot of fun, but Capella did nothing. He had nothing to do with that even. It was just some Trae Young threes mostly. Chop, got anything else for the people before we step aside and get out of here? Did you want to get anything from TJ as far as Nightwing? Anything else? Any more questions?
I think I'm good. I think I got enough to go on now. I'll research it a little.
It's a fascinating group of characters. There have been 4 main Robins. One of them died and came back to life. One of them grew up to become Nightwing. One of them is the son of Bruce Wayne. It's an interesting group.
Ooh.
Son of Bruce Wayne. Has that been played out in the movies? I feel like that's not an angle I've seen just yet.
So kind of actually, in The Dark Knight Rises, we get the conception of Damian Wayne because the mom is Talia al Ghul, and it's implied. There's some implied adult stuff going on in that movie, Dean. You don't see it, but it's implied. And so, Damian is the son of Talia al Ghul and Bruce Wayne, and he becomes the 4th Robin.
All right, myself and Chop, we're going to go ahead and make some lineups. We're going to watch some college football. We're going to watch some basketball. Y'all got 40 minutes of crunch time. You got Will, you got TJ, you got Roth steering the ship. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. This is crunch time. You know the drill. 2 of the sharpest minds taking you up to lock. TJ, I got to give you credit, man. I don't know how you know so much about multiple things. Like DFS, great at. Every comic, cartoon, movie, also fully informed on. I didn't know any of that. Thank you for informing me.
Hey, no problem. That's so the first Robin that becomes Nightwing. That's my favorite DC character. And so I love basically everyone in the Bat family, but I'm not actually really a Batman fan. And so all the extended side characters are the ones that I like. And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to keep it all straight now that I am no longer teaching too. Ever since I got rid of that one and just get to write about movies, TV shows, and superheroes over here, write and talk about sports over here. It's a nice little group. And shout out to Steve in the chat. He named 3 of the 4. The one he's forgetting is Tim Drake.
Wow. And I just assumed there was one Robin. I didn't even know there were multiple Robins. So I am well out of the loop. But thank you for that info. We got the Chief in the house. Talk about people with multiple interests. He plays DFS and sports bets. Bam. He does a lot more than that as well. But what up, Chief? How are you, man?
Nothing much. Good, man.
Basketball coach extraordinaire.
That's true.
Yeah, I've been slightly MIA because of basketball, but
a beast on the grill, correct?
Oh, yes, sir. And that's not me saying that. That's other people saying it. So I'm agreeing with you, Roth. I'm agreeing with you. So yeah, man. And everybody just needs to live a full life, man. It's the best way to live. It's the best way to live.
Yeah, I only have weather. That's all I know. But I'm here for it. And thankfully, there's not a whole lot going on. We're here talking some NBA. This weekend for NFL, there is a lot of weather. So make sure you check out my latest forecast. Just dropped it there on RotoGrinders /NFL/weather, something like that. You can find it. Let's dive into this slate, guys, because it was a big old slate last night. We've got a whole bunch of games tonight as well. And I have not been keeping up with anything. So, TJ, I need the rundown. What have I missed? What are we waiting for? Then we'll go through it slate by slate.
Yeah, a lot of stuff already went down. I don't think there's all too much we're waiting on yet. Like, I think the biggest thing, honestly, is Derek Lively and Dorian Finney-Smith are the 2 biggest pieces of news that we're still waiting on. We just got the Celtics stuff. So, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis is out. Draymond Green is doubtful, and Steph Curry is out for the Warriors, putting them in some really nice spots. Luka Doncic is out for the next month, so that's unfortunate, but he's out for the next month, and so that's.
I've been sleeping in a cave.
Sad that I gotta break that news to you as a Mavs fan. I'm sorry. And then we got Devin Booker out for Phoenix as well, so they're popping a little bit. So. Lots of injuries, lots of good spend ups, not a ton of value. Like we don't have any big 3K guys that it's like hammer him in today, but still a lot of value that is low floor, high upside, interesting and fun for tournaments.
Okay. If Lively is out, I was going to say, all right, well, we smash Gafford, but maybe without Luka, is it as important? Do we care as much?
Yeah, I'm still playing this right now as if Lively's out, which gave me 40%. Gafford, and so yeah, he's still very viable. I just put him at 26 minutes, and that made him like one of the best values on the slate.
Yeah, but I feel like that's assuming his points per minute with Luka, which it's all.
I mean, no, I guess that's based on his projection right now without Luka, and I just switched the minutes on RG up to 26 from 18, and it made him the best value play.
Okay. All right. That sounds good to me. All right. Well, let's dive into it here, starting on FanDuel. Chief, you get to lead us off. A little point guard talk over on FD. What are you doing over there, my man?
I think everybody and their mom is probably going to be interested in Shake Milton. If it's not everybody and their mom, I think it will be a fair amount of people. Look, man, Brooklyn's just down a lot of guys, and even if they lose this game by 20, I think that still means plenty of people will be semi-productive, and I think Shake Milton is one of those people. So I do like him. In terms of kind of, I don't want to call it the mid-range, but let's call it the mid-range. I do like James Harden today, 8,900. I think he's a guy, while he's been a little bit more sporadic, I think he's the guy that can get there. But, man, one of my favorites, he's got multi-positional eligibility. Anytime we can get some of these one of the big 3 out from Boston, we just see Derek White have such big games. So Derek White is the guy that I'm interested in at 7,400 on FanDuel. And then we already know Curry is out. So you got Schroeder at 5,700. And then you got Peyton Pritchard, who I'm not sure if he's going to get steamed because of that. But he's another guy that I think, could put up some numbers here against Indiana at 5,500. He's the guy that's been playing well already. And then you can also throw Spencer Dinwiddie in the mix if you would like. But those are some of the few guys that I like, quite a bit today. At the top, like clearly Kyrie's good, but Kyrie at 9,400, I feel like that's the appropriate price. I think Harden is a slightly underpriced, although he's been underperforming a little bit. Harden, I like Derek White, and then I like, you start getting down to these cheaper guys, Schroeder, Pritchard, and then, of course, Shake Milton on the cheap end.
Okay, good stuff. TJ, what are you doing at point on FanDuel?
Doing a new set of builds right now, but in my last one, I ended up with 35% Schroeder, 30% Milton, 29% Pods, and Brandon Podziemski, that is. And it I feel uncomfortable with all of that. The one that probably feels the best is Schroeder, just because Curry's out, but he's been so bad ever since they acquired him. And really, it's just all it needs to change is have a couple shots go in that haven't been going in. But I don't know if I necessarily want him to be my highest owned guy. I think I would like to get some more Pritchard because he'll get some ownership, but I don't think it's going to go crazy because he's not going to be a starter. And I think he's my favorite of that price tier in terms of upside. Now, if his shots aren't falling, he's going to struggle too. But he's a type of guy that if shots are going in, especially against a pace-up team like Indiana, and Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday out of there, if his shot's on, he'll shoot 12, 15 threes and play mid-30s minutes. And so Pritchard's going to be my favorite in that price range for upside. I really like Tyus Jones as a tournament pivot for low ownership with no Devin Booker. If you look at the shot quality projections, it's actually nuts how highly CJ McCollum and DeJounte Murray are projecting, the two guards for the New Orleans Pelicans. We have DeJounte for 43.9 fantasy points. The shot quality projections have him at 54.6. We have CJ McCollum at 35.67. Shot quality projections have him at 47. So they think that New Orleans is going to absolutely, like the New Orleans and Memphis game in general, is just going to go absolutely bonkers today. So that's worth keeping in mind for tournaments. Bonkers is one of my favorite words to use in that situation. And then James Harden is fine. And I don't think I actually mentioned it, but I buried the lead. Kyrie Irving is the guy I'm trying to get the most of. I have 30% right now. I would like to get a little bit more because my favorite play on the slate is also in that game, and I want Kyrie as a run back.
Okay, good stuff. Take me to shooting guard, TJ.
A lot of the same guys here. Milton, Schroeder, Irving, Podsy, all available at the shooting guard position. Buddy Hield, especially if he starts, is interesting for Golden State, but even off the bench, I think he's viable today. Tyrese Martin is a cheap salary saver. That's fine. I like him more on DraftKings than FanDuel. And then Devin Vassell is 5,500, probably cash game play on FanDuel. $7,100 Norman Powell is fine. I do like it seems like I just don't really get that ownership for him. It doesn't seem like it should be that high. And so from a tournament perspective, I would like to fade Norman Powell at that on FanDuel, I think.
Okay, makes sense. Chief, what are you doing at shooting guard?
I really like Bradley Beal tonight at 6,900. No Devin Booker. Obviously, it's the Beal and KD show, so he's a guy that I really like. I feel like Anthony Edwards. Well, we're on FanDuel. I'll talk about it more on DraftKings, but boys, he's starting to get cheap over there. So I'll come back to that. I'm still okay with Powell, but I do like Beal quite a bit. Obviously, you can get Schroeder here. I don't hate Klay Thompson here. Like, I know he hasn't been like stellar, but still no Luka, just kind of him and Kyrie. I think he'll be fine. Devin Vassell is picking up some minutes, so he's a guy that I'm interested in. Obviously, Podsy at 4,900, I do think is a really good play. Also, I think Buddy Hield he's probably about as close to a tournament play as you're going to get on this team, because I feel like he should play 25 to 30 minutes easily, but it's Steve Kerr. It could be a struggle, man, but I do think he's in there. And then we got Keon Johnson, who's also going to be playing big minutes at 4,400. Definitely a guy that you want to have in the mix.
Okay, good stuff.
Just
Small
out there
forward.
on Keon Johnson, forgot about him because he's $500 cheaper than he is on FanDuel
Yeah.
than DraftKings. So that's like a FanDuel exclusive, very good play there. Not so much on DK.
Good note. Okay, Chief, what are you doing at small forward?
To play Jason Tatum or not to play Jason Tatum? That is the question. I think we play Jason Tatum. No Porzingis is just. I think he's going to be fine, and he's been playing really well anyway. Like, just if you haven't watched it, he's put up 59 fantasy points, 72 fantasy points, 54. Like, he's been playing well. So I like him quite a bit. I do like Desmond Bain, but I like him more on DraftKings. But I do think he's okay on FanDuel at 7,300 in this spot. I don't feel like a lot of people are going to go there. I feel like Andrew Wiggins might be like the forgotten son. He's cheaper on DraftKings also, so that's why it's kind of so hard for me to play him on FanDuel. But I still think he's got 40-point upside in this type of spot. And then on the lower end, like if Royce O'Neal's going to keep getting these big minutes, you can play him. Obviously, you can play Podsy. Cam Whitmore has been a guy that just keeps popping here recently. 4,800. Maybe you go back to the well. I'm not saying you do or you don't, but I definitely think you could.
Do we still have Eason out, and I think there was another guy there that was helping him get some minutes. Are they still out?
Eason's questionable.
Yeah, but I mean, but here's the thing, Roth. If you get it in now, like if you get your ownership built now, that you're doing it to gain an advantage over the field because everybody isn't going to go back and make those adjustments.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Now and then last but not least for me, Tristan Da Silva from Orlando. I want to talk about a guy that started to pick up big minutes over the past 5 games. Roth. He's played over 30 minutes in 4 of 5. He's 4,500. It's a matchup with the Knicks. Nobody wants to play him. 38 minutes against Miami. 35 against Boston, 28 the game against that for Miami, 37 against OKC, 32 against New York. Those are the past 5 games, picking up big minutes, and I don't think people are yet watching. Tristan Da Silva is a sneaky play at small forward for big minutes.
Love it. TJ, what are you doing at the 3?
Kuminga, the clear cash game option here, either at small forward or power forward. He looks really great.
I hate Kuminga. Gosh.
Just in general or tonight?
Anytime he's chalked, it's like 17 fantasy points.
Yeah, I feel that.
I think Tatum, despite Tatum picking up some ownership, a great tournament pivot is $9,800 Kevin Durant. I think both he and Bradley Beal should be 30% owned in this spot, and they're not. So they're 2 of my favorite tournament plays on the slate. Martin is a guy I like more on DraftKings. Andrew Wiggins is the guy I like more on DraftKings, but he's still totally viable on FanDuel. And that's it for my favorite plays. Just spend up to get played Kevin Durant at low teens ownership on FanDuel.
Okay, take me to the 4, TJ.
Durant viable here as well. Love that play. Tatum is great, but I just think Durant at a third of the ownership is the move in tournaments. Kuminga, Tatum, Triple J looking like potential cash game plays at the position. For what it's worth, I think I probably would go Kuminga here instead of small forward because I think small forward is a bit stronger of a position, or there's just more, maybe not stronger, but more cash game options. Not stronger for tournaments, but more cash games options. TJD, PJ Washington are both fine. Julius Randle is nice and cheap on FanDuel, even though I hate that game environment. And I think Mobley, specifically if you're playing Mobley, and I forgot to mention Donovan Mitchell at shooting guard, but if you're playing Nikola Jokic tonight, I think they make for great run backs.
Okay, good stuff. Chief, your favorites at power forward.
Definitely love KD. I didn't mention him at small forward. I like him better at power forward on FanDuel tonight for me, just because of how it kind of breaks down. Because I can kind of pair him up with some cheaper guys. Still like Tatum. Still like Wemby. If this game can stay close, Wemby could just have a nuclear session yet again. But a guy that I'm planning to play, and I think other people are going to play him too, but that's Clowney. It might feel like Clowney is like off the beaten path and you shouldn't play him. But when you look at his minutes, TJ, I'm looking at the past 4 games, 37 minutes, 28, 29, 30 minutes. And today there are less people available. How in the world does he not get 30 minutes again? So Clowney for me from Brooklyn at 4,600. Brooklyn just got some good value that I think people are overlooking today, and he's one of those plays.
Okay, take me to the
I like
center.
that call too.
Yeah, okay, take me to the center spot, and I think I saw Clowney is center eligible, but maybe you've got a better play there, Chief. Who are you playing?
Well, I mean, definitely going to be playing his counterpart, which is Nick Claxton, who's center only eligible. So that's the only place we can play him. He's 5,600. He is going in that spot. Another guy that's sneaky. Now, hear me out here. He's a little bit more than him. That's Missy. Missy's a little bit more, but his business have been stable, and he's had some big games over some stretches. And I think people aren't really I think people are just going to ignore him today. If you want to play Zach Edey at 5,500, you can get him in as well. TJD, Trace Jackson Davis, another guy that you can get in for at a lower price. I think it's a good spot to go cheap at center today. But I also think it's a spot. Karl Anthony Towns. Listen, man, 9,600. This guy has had a spectacular season, and outside of a few blips on the radar, Roth, we're seeing 50 plus most games. Like Karl Anthony Towns at 9,600 is fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, your favorites at center?
Ivica Zubac, probably my favorite tournament option today. Edey, Claxton, that range is fine. These guys who have power forward eligibility, I'd rather play them at power forward just because there are a lot of good center options. I think holding off and waiting to try and play Daniel Gafford is a really, really strong tournament option on FanDuel. Hope that you get Derek Lively out. And then, of course, best case scenario, you pay for Luka Doncic. Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Guys, we want to kick it over to DK before we do that. A couple notes. First off, hit us with the like. I don't know how many likes you have, but the answer is not enough. Like, subscribe. It is free content. And we want to keep it free, but we can only do that if we're getting eyeballs. You help us getting eyeballs by clicking the thumbs up. Thus, we keep giving you free content. It's that easy. It's that simple. It's the circle of life here in the digital age. Also, we still have some holiday discounts going on. We want you to have a massive holiday takedown here. It's not quite to the new year. We're taking $10 off your first month of Combo Lite, which means access to our SimLabs lineup building tool and content from some of your favorite DFS analysts. Only $19.99 for a month. $19.99 for a month. That's crazy. It's affordable subscription. It's got everything you need to build great lineups. So you get a big win this holiday season. Let's kick it over to DK. By the way, only 90 likes. If we don't get 100, the show will get canceled. So make sure you hit the thumbs up. I made that up. TJ, what are we doing at DK point guard?
I gotta say, Roth, saying that you and Eric Johnson are always on the same page and you don't know how it's possible. That's not the person you necessarily want to be the same page on.
I know. I'm sure he felt the same way. I mean, of all the three of us here, he's like, God damn it, I'm on the same page as Roth. That's never good. But yeah, Wemby is my guy, and he's Eric's guy tonight. Just full-on flag plant Wemby play tonight. TJ, what are we doing?
Wemby's your guy every night, though.
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair to say. DK point guard, what do you like?
So I have just this clump of guys in a similar price range that I'm getting 20 to 30% of. Milton, Pritchard, Schroeder, Tyus Jones, Brandon Podziemski, getting 20 to 30% of all of them, and then 30% Kyrie Irving. He's the one in that tier with them for me. I am getting some CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, just because of how well they're projecting in the shot quality projections. Got a touch of Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. I saw somebody ask about Spencer Dinwiddie in chat. I got 5%, not a lot, just a little. Jamal Murray, Derek White, Chris Paul, those are 5%ers too. And I am just for like extreme value taking a shot in tournaments on Monte Morris. Last two games, 20 and 17 minutes for the Suns with this Devin Booker injury. 25% usage rate, 23% usage rate in those two games. He's going in, chucking up threes, getting assists, running the offense for the second unit. And if he's getting us 20 points a night, that's very viable at 3,200. If he happens to get a ceiling game, this one gets ugly and he pushes that a little bit, he could be a real good value play. So he's like a 1%er for tournaments. I like trying.
Okay, good stuff. Chief, what are you doing at point?
So a lot of the same things, man, because these guys are just so cheap tonight. Now, where I may not agree as much about Kyrie on FanDuel, where he's pretty much almost $1,000 more, 8,300 on DK. Sign me up.
Yeah,
and he's really not getting as much ownership as I thought. He's around 15%. I thought he'd be 25-ish at this price range on DK. And maybe I just need to know I'm going to refresh again, Roth, to make sure I got as up to date as possible. But I still think we're projecting him fairly low. And if I'm lagging a little bit, it's because I'm refreshing my lineup HQ and I've got the spinning circle. So sorry about that. But a lot of these cheap point guards tonight, Roth, some of these guys, or a combination of these guys, I think is going to win somebody a tournament. A combination of Milton, Podsey, Schroeder, Dinwiddie, Kyrie, like something to this effect is going to win somebody a tournament tonight. And I think, you need to have exposure to all of those guys.
Okay, good stuff. Shooting guard, Chief, what do you like there?
I just want to say quick, we had talked about Clowney previously at power forward for FanDuel. We did just get Dorian Finney-Smith ruled in for Brooklyn, so potentially a little bit of a damper on him, but he'll still probably get high 20s, low 30s minutes. Finney-Smith adding a guy to that rotation who has been out the last week plus.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I still think he's been playing 30 minutes already. Like, I still think he gets big. Honestly, I'm even more excited that Finney-Smith is playing. Now people are just going to write him off, and he's just going to dominate. All right. Shooting guards, kind of similar here because you can get Milton there, and I think that's how you kind of get some of these guys in. Obviously, Devin Vassell, Schroeder. I'm semi-interested in Jaylen Brown at 7,900. Like, no Porzingis, no Drew Holiday. And Drew Holiday hasn't been great this season, but he's still he takes up a few more points, a few more rebounds, a few more assists. So you're getting Jaylen Brown at 7,900. I think this is a good spot for him just for fantasy production. Now, I did take him under 25 fantasy points, so I'm hoping they just go ahead and blow this team out. He goes and sits down. You can score as many fantasy points as you want. Just don't go over 25 real points. All right. Norman Powell is the guy. I'm shocked Norman Powell is getting more ownership than like Kyrie. It's only it's just a few percentage points, but I still think Powell is okay. Desmond Bane is a guy that I really like for tournaments tonight, Roth, where he's 6,800, that same matchup with the Pelicans. Minutes projection is around 30, 29 to be exact in RG projections. But I still think, man, there's some meat on the bone at this price. Derek White, same thing, 6,800. I think there's meat on the bone at this price. Klay Thompson, same thing, 5,400. I think there's just meat on the bone at this price. And then the one guy that's upper tier that I want to mention, Anthony Edwards. I talked about him on FanDuel. I said I would talk about him on DraftKings. 8,500. The price is starting to come down. This is a guy that's got 60-point upside. I like him at 8,500.
Okay, good stuff. TJ, your favorites at shooting guard?
Bradley Beal is going to be the top guy for me, 34%. Then I have a lot of those same guys we already talked about at point guard in the 30% range. Shake Milton, Peyton Pritchard, Kyrie Irving, Dennis Schroeder. Devin Vassell is another one you can throw into that group. He's a good cash game option at 5,200. I have about 30% Tyrese Martin here, which doesn't feel great, but he's $3,600 and he can fill the stat sheet up really quickly if he's shooting the ball well. Powell, I'm going to be heavily underweight on. I only got 9% of him. And then like Jaylen Brown, I'm going to be heavily underweight on him. So that's a little bit scary. But Bradley Beal is my biggest stand because we're projecting him for like super low ownership, and I got 34%.
Okay. Take me to small forward, TJ.
Few same names, Beal, Martin, but two highest owned small forwards. Jason Tatum is coming in next for me. Jake LaRivia and Jalen Wells, I think, are two solid cheap options. Devin Vassell is a very solid option today. Wiggins, I like quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw somebody asking about Kyle Anderson in chat, and they said, do you guys like Kyle Anderson? The answer is no. I do not like Kyle Anderson at all.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
I do not like Kyle Anderson. I do not like green eggs and ham. I am playing Kyle Anderson. I am not playing green eggs and ham.
Okay. Interesting. Any other names you want to throw in there while we're Dr. Seussing it up or no?
I mean, 5%ers, the Silva, Royce O'Neal, Quentin Grimes, but like Trey Murphy, I think is interesting. Another guy projecting really well in the shot quality projections, but nothing super crazy here. Biggest stand is I'm just playing a ton of Bradley Beal instead of Jaylen Brown.
Okay. Excellent. Chief, what are you doing at the 3?
Man, honestly, a lot of the same names. I felt like I did feel like earlier today or yesterday, last night, Keldon Johnson at 4K was just like a little bit too cheap. Like if he gets 25 minutes, like he could just get there. You know what I'm saying, Rob? Like he could put up 30 fantasy points.
Sure.
If he does it 4K, you're golden. But I just don't think you need him with all of this other guaranteed value today. And so he's somebody I thought I would have some interest in, but man, so much value. Just don't need him.
Okay, then take me to power forward, Chief.
Begrudgingly, Jonathan Kuminga's popping really nicely at 5,500. I don't want to play him though, and I may not. We'll see. Jason Tatum 9,900. I like him. Obviously KD at 9,300. I like Julius Randle at 7,100. I actually think this is a really good price from him. He's another guy. These Minnesota guys are a little bit too cheap. Don't look now, Raw. Julius Randle's put up over 45 DK points in back-to-back games. That was against Atlanta. That was against Dallas. 46.25 and 49 to be exact. He's 7,100. Rob, you get another 45 burger out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like you're starting to get close to some nice value. Because here's why. If he puts up 45 and some of these cheap guys get you mid-30s, and then you get one of your big guys that get you like Tatum, you're playing Tatum or somebody, and they get you 65, like all of a sudden – the lineup starts to come together. You haven't had to really stretch it too far.
Yeah.
So I just, I like him. In that same game, I like Naz Reid. Naz Reid is a guy at 4,600 that's put up some numbers. He'll be off the beaten path tonight. We've got him projected around 4%. And that's because there is better value on paper than Naz Reid. But we've seen Naz Reid pop a bit here, Roth, from time to time. So just in terms of deep tournament stuff, Naz Reid is a guy that I would play, where Keldon Johnson is probably a guy I would not play. And I've already mentioned De Silva on FanDuel, but I like him also on DraftKings.
Okay, good stuff. That brings us to TJ's thoughts at power forward. Who do you like, TJ?
There, sorry, just updating one last set of lineups. My second biggest down to Bradley Beal is in the same game. It's Kevin Durant, and this is, arguably bigger because Beal we're projecting for 3%, and I have 33%. Durant we're projecting for 13%, and I have 47%. So ton of Suns for me today.
Andrew, together or you're splitting them up?
Either or. Totally
wow,
fine with both.
Yeah.
And so because that's one of the reasons why I'm playing so much Kyrie on the other side. Because I think a Kyrie, Beal, Durant game stack is with some Daniel Gafford if Lively's out is just perfect.
Okay.
Wiggins, Kuminga coming in next after Kevin Durant. Then it's Tatum. Then it's when we get to the gross plays. Larivia, Brandon Clark, Ryan Dunn, Noah Clowney, Kyle Anderson, De Silva, just a bunch of scrubs after those guys. That's one of the reasons why I'm playing so much Durant. Evan Mobley as a Nikola Jokic run back. I think Horford or Royce O'Neal you can throw in a lineup. And then Triple J, totally fine as well.
Okay, take me to the center spot, TJ.
Center spots, Nikola Jokic is going to be my highest owned spend up, but he's coming just below Daniel Gafford for me as in terms of total ownership. Now I will totally readjust this if Derek Lively happens to play.
And quickly on that, is there a 1v1 or you're going to have to make some swaps? You're going to have to do some changes.
No, I'll have to make some swaps or changes. Like you could do Brandon Clark or something, but center's such a valuable position. I don't really want to do it. Yeah. If you have $100, you can go straight to TJD. So that works. But we're projecting Lively in right now, and Gafford and TJD have almost identical projections. So you can just still play Daniel Gafford. He's still a fine point per dollar option because he's so wildly cheap. Wembanyama we're projecting for 2%. I got 16, so I'll be very overweight. And then Ivica Zubac's another guy I really like today.
Yep. Let's see. A few people on board with the Wemby train. Chief, what are you doing at the center spot? And then we'll get to some of these QQs. And a note that you are muted.
Yeah, if they had the over mutes at minus 120, they cashed it.
There it is. Mute count 1. Yeah, there it is.
A lot of the same names. Claxton, I'm fine with Gafford. TJD, Edie, like I'm kind of rolling a lot of these cheap centers tonight, to be honest. Like cycling through them. I just feel like that's the way to go. I'm not telling anyone to not play Nikola Jokic. So I don't want anybody to hear that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think KD, Beal, Kyrie, Tatum. I think they can put up comparable scores. As an example, Jokic goes for 65. Well, these guys go for 58, 48 at the right price. It balances itself out.
Yeah.
The point per dollar starts to matter. So that's where I am. I will say Jared Allen, 6K though. In that same game, I think that's a good price for him. He could be a really good roster tonight.
Okay.
Same thing for Karl Anthony Towns. I still like Towns on DraftKings. Same price.
Yeah. Okay, guys, good stuff here. Let's see. We got 7 minutes. I had a good intelligent question for TJ, but like all intelligent thoughts I have, it's gone. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it'll circle back to me. In the meantime, let's open up some of these QQs. Make sure you hit us with the thumbs up if you do not mind, for the free content and for two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Let's see what we've got. TJ, who are your top 2 point per dollar plays on FanDuel?
That is a good question. I'm not Chief. Are you playing on FanDuel today?
Yes.
Maybe that might be a better one for Chief.
Okay, Chief, your top 2 point per dollar plays on FanDuel.
I can give you like 4. Let's go Clowney. Let's go Shake Milton. Let's go on the high end. Give me Karl Anthony Towns. Give me Schroeder. I know I gave you 4, but I like those guys quite a bit.
Okay, that's fair.
TJ, that's nothing against Claxton either. But I just those are some of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, I did remember my question, and it was when you were talking centers, you did not mention Edey. I don't think, at least. Do you have any Edey in your lineups?
Yes, and I think he's fine. Just not getting to as much of him as the field. I don't think. I'm getting to 15% Edey, so I think he's fine. But he just kind of seems like he's going a little bit overweight because he's had a couple good games lately, but he's still very volatile. Like, I'd rather play him at low ownership than 30%.
That makes a ton of sense. I fully get that. Okay, this question from Golf Nut says, DK single entry. TJ, can we play Bane, Edey, Triple J in the same DK single entry lineup?
Yes, if you're playing a New Orleans player like DeJounte or CJ McCollum or Trey Murphy with them. Otherwise, I'd say 3 is too much.
Okay. We'll go to Falcor's question. TJ, sticking to you. FanDuel single entry, Jokic or Wemby? You're paying up for one of the big man studs. Who do you choose, sir?
Jokic. If I'm playing a pretty chalky lineup outside of him, maybe I go Wemby, but otherwise, just straight up, it's Jokic.
Okay, great. Chief, we got 2 questions from D-Rock coming in. Then I'm jumping into the YouTube to get some of those questions. Healed versus Pods and Kuminga versus Wiggy.
Pods, Wiggy for me.
Very good. Jumping into that YouTube. Hit us with the thumbs up. We did get a question that just simply says, prop bets, question mark? I know a man. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows about prop betting. Chief, do you have 1 or 2 favorites you want to throw out, and then you can plug a little prop shop?
I'll give you 2. I took Ben Shepherd, less than 13.5 points, rebounds, assists. And I actually took Dorian Finney-Smith, less than 16.5 points and rebounds. RG was pretty high on that from a projection standpoint, so I decided that I was going to go with that one for DFS, for the Dorian Finney-Smith one. Ben Shepherd, less than 13.5 points, rebounds, assists. Dorian Finney-Smith, less than 16.5 points plus rebounds.
Okay, where can people get more prop bets from you? You got a spot?
Yeah, you can hop on in the prop shop and hopefully you come in there and have some fun. I mean, you got plenty of people posting things all day. I'm posting. A lot of the regulars are posting. It's just a good time. So come in and hang out with us and enjoy.
Make sure you jump in the RotoGrinders Discord. Let's see what we got. FanDuel shooting guard, TJ, Grimes or Vassell?
You count 2.
Vassell. Okay.
No, I was quick. That was no
quick.
mute. That was quick.
He was thinking while muted, and my bad, it's Vassell. But Grimes or Vassell, you like Vassell in that situation, TJ?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got. LaRavia as cheap Memphis value. TJ, you mentioned it as gross fine value.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it, but I'm doing it.
Yep, I get that. Chief Mike B says Tatum Clay or Katie Wiggy. Who do you prefer?
Katie Wiggins, not even close.
We'll go to Beyond the Rabbit Hole, who says Chief Wemby Pritchard or Kyrie and Triple J. That's a good one.
Ooh, Wimby Pritchard.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, here we go. That's a good one. Trick says, hey, I just got here. He's got 3 minutes or so. Your favorite single entry GPP play on, he didn't say, just your favorite single entry GPP play. No salary limit, no rules, just your favorite GPP play straight up. TJ, you can go first.
Bradley Beal on FanDuel, Kevin Durant on DraftKings.
Yeah, I love that. Chief, you got a couple names or just one?
I'll go with Clowney because I just feel like nobody wants to play him, but he's like in the 4K range. I think he goes for 30 plus again.
Okay, great. Let's see. Shane, Chief, I'm going to make you work for this. FanDuel power forward under 6,500. And in the meantime, while you search for that, I will get a question for TJ.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Wiggins is right at 63 there off the top of my head, but still worth a look for sure.
It's impressive as you said you're not even playing FanDuel. That's my guy.
I'm good.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it. What you got?
Probably TJD at 5K.
Okay.
Or Clowney at 46. Listen, Clowney's my guy tonight, man. If he fails, I fail.
All right. Obviously, spend the money elsewhere. Don't just eat the salary.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here we go. Keelan Brown says, TJ, Hawkins, Trey Murphy, and Laravia, okay, it's one of these dudes. Thank God. Thank God. Hawkins, Trey Murphy, Laravia, or Kennard, FanDuel GPP.
Hawkins, Trey Murphy. Hawkins, I mean, Murphy is 7K and the others are like 3K guys, are they not?
You're asking the wrong weatherman.
They asked the 3v2, I think. Or like, Trey Murphy is,
we don't know,
by far the best.
Trey Murphy's 68 or 6,900 on both sides.
Right.
Like,
Try again.
I don't understand that, but he's by far the best play.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right.
Kennard, Hawkins, and Laravia, it's Laravia.
Okay.
But Trey Murphy is by far better than all of them, and also 3,000 more expensive.
I'm just going to assume I butchered reading that. My bad, Keelan.
No, I'm looking right at it. You did it right. It just didn't really make sense.
Let's see. Does DFS being active? Ooh, great question. Does it hurt Keon or Shake's value on FanDuel? Love that question. Chief?
No.
Okay. Is Gafford worthed? He is certainly worthed if our other boy is out, right?
If Lively's out, Gafford's one of the best value plays on the slate. If Lively's in, he is slightly viable, not valuable. Viable.
Yeah. Thoughts on Scottie Pippen Jr. and Barnes for value on DK? TJ, any interest there?
No. Scottie Pippen Jr. more than Harrison Barnes, but still no.
Shane says no Pritchard love with Drew out. Chief, there was some Pritchard love. One of you two.
I like
maybe
Pritchard a bunch.
Yeah, Pritchard's my second highest owned point guard.
Yeah, plenty.
Pritchard's my highest owned point guard.
There you go. That is a lot of love. Chief, last piece on DK Kuminga or Edie? Good question.
The right answer is Kuminga, but I don't like Kuminga. Give me Edie.
I'm on the Edie train because I'm a game log watcher and he dropped like 50 fantasy points last night. So obviously he'll do it again. Any love for Royce tonight? By the way, we just hit the lock. Any love for Royce tonight is our final question of the night.
Royce O'Neal? Are they referring to Royce O'Neal? I'm assuming they are, and I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you to all hanging out. Shout out to Steve who says, good luck, everybody. Win some money. Enjoy the last Friday of 2024. It is indeed that. I'll see you at the top of the leaderboards for Chief, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew.
One more thing to plug. It's at a new time this week just because there's NFL football tomorrow, 3-game slate. And so I believe it's Tim and I will be breaking down the 3-game slate tomorrow morning. But tonight is the Tournament Take Show with the return of Bobby Gomes, Kirk Dees, and Noto bringing us some NFL takes. So make sure you tune in for that one. It's starting in 30 minutes from now, 7:30 Eastern.
Very good. Some nice plugs. And I got to hear you say tomorrow twice, which is always enjoyable. Hey, good luck, everybody, for Chief, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow, you have been crushed.